John's life had spiraled into a pit of debt after his business venture failed. Each day was a barrage of calls from relentless online lenders, and hope was slipping away. Just then, a friend handed him a flyer.
What kind of scam is this? Generous compensation for fathering a child? Who falls for this nonsense anymore?
Frustrated, John threw the flyer on the ground. His phone buzzed with another message from a creditor, warning of severe consequences.
Imprisonment? I can't let my life end like this.
Desperation gnawed at him. He glanced at the flyer again, remembering the betrayal by his business partner that led to his downfall.
Damn scammers living the high life while I suffer.
With a mix of rage and hopelessness, John dialed the number on the flyer. The call was answered quickly.
You scammer! Offering 500,000 renminbi? At least be original. Damn you!
The other end was silent. John was about to hang up when a calm woman's voice responded.
Give me a bank account, and I can send you a 50,000 renminbi deposit.
Are you still trying to trick me? Yeah, right. You probably want me to pay 5,000 renminbi first, and then you'll send me 50,000. Do you think I'm an idiot?
Why don't you wait and see if you receive the money first?
Her words made John hesitate. The crushing debt collection messages echoed in his mind. He gritted his teeth and agreed to provide his bank account details. After hanging up, he found the situation bizarre.
I can't believe I'm actually doing this.
Usually kept awake by anxiety, John was now restless with anticipation. He tossed and turned until dawn. But good things never happen to me out of the blue, right?
Scam someone else in your next life.
I quickly hung up. Just as I did, a debt collection company called. I refused to answer. Feeling agitated, my phone kept ringing. The aggressive collection messages were almost all threats, saying if I didn't pay back, my whole family would suffer. Looking at the endless calls and messages, a sense of helplessness overwhelmed me. Staring at the high reward for surrogacy flyer, I realized I was broke. Even if it was a scam, I had no money for them to take. After a moment of hesitation, I dialed the number again. The woman didn't waste any words and asked me to send my account details. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I wanted to see what this scammer was up to. I sent my account number, and within 2 minutes, I received a message. Your account 8346 received 50,000.00 on September 1st at 22:34. Current balance 50,000.32. I jumped up in excitement. 50,000. My hands trembled as I held the phone. I couldn't believe she actually transferred the money. Another call came in from the same woman. Her voice was as calm as ever.
Did you receive it?
Why, yes, I received it.
Now you should believe it's real. Whether it succeeds or not, you'll get 50,000. If you're willing, come to Liuan New Street tomorrow.
Is this some kind of trap? Can I really get 50,000 just once?
Yes, really. Are you in or not? If not, return the money, and I'll find someone else.
Thinking about the overwhelming debt collection messages, I gritted my teeth and agreed. After hanging up, I still found the whole thing bizarre. Usually, I couldn't sleep due to anxiety, but tonight, it was because of excitement. I tossed and turned, staring at the ceiling until dawn. As soon as the alarm went off, I turned it off, freshened up, and rushed to the meeting place. Upon arrival, I saw a woman in her late 30s standing at the corner. She was attractive and well-proportioned. Could it be her? I glanced at my outfit. To secure the remaining 45,000, I had dressed up, even pulling out my rarely worn suit. Despite my efforts, I felt nervous. The woman looked at me and walked over first.
John Smith?
Yes, that's me.
However, thinking about the $5,000 I received yesterday, I felt reassured. It must have been verified during the transfer. I nodded, confirmed my identity, and the woman led me to a mansion. The location was near the outskirts, very secluded and quiet. As soon as I entered the house, I felt uneasy. There was an eerie atmosphere. I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination, but a chill ran down my spine, and I got goosebumps.
I couldn't understand why wealthy people would go to such lengths for something like this.
Inside the mansion, the decor shocked me. It resembled a traditional wedding setup, with lanterns and the Chinese character for double happiness adorning the place. In the living room, there were 2 rattan chairs separated by a table, which held 2 candles. The unsettling part was that everything was white: the lanterns, the double happiness characters, and the candles.
Seeing the white decorations made me even more anxious. Was this supposed to be a wedding? But weddings are usually decorated in red, right? Why was this one different?
A terrifying thought crossed my mind. My lips trembled as I considered the possibility. But then again, they had spent so much money, it seemed unlikely. Still, I couldn't help but ask.
What's going on here?
The woman said nothing, just clapped her hands. A woman in traditional bridal attire was wheeled in. She wore a red veil, so I couldn't see her face. But judging by her slender, fair hands, she seemed to be a well-bred young lady.
Before the wedding night, you need to marry her.
Hearing this, I felt more at ease. It seemed that because this girl had some physical limitations, they had no choice but to find me. To get the money smoothly, I obediently went through the wedding ceremony with her. The girl remained silent throughout. I had been busy with my startup recently and had no experience dealing with girls, so I felt a bit awkward about the whole situation. After the ceremony, I wanted to say a few words to my new bride. But then 2 or 3 strong men blocked my way.
What's the rush? We'll take you to the bridal chamber soon.
Feeling uncomfortable, I shook them off.
Don't touch me. I can walk by myself.
Once inside the room, they locked the door behind me. Surprisingly, I felt relieved. Even though I had taken the money, I didn't want to be watched during such an intimate moment. Being alone with the girl in the bridal chamber was just what I wanted. I noticed the girl from the ceremony was already lying on the bed. She seemed to be asleep, not making a sound. The red veil had been lifted, and I could finally see her face. An oval face, willow leaf eyebrows, a classic beauty. I couldn't believe someone like me could marry such a woman. As my gaze shifted downward, I noticed her slightly swollen belly.
What was going on? Why wasn't she reacting? Could she be a mute with physical limitations?
Doubts filled my mind.
Miss, you know I took the money, so now I have to do my part. Don't worry, I'll be gentle.
She didn't respond, so I started to undress her myself. When I touched her skin, I paused. So cold? Then I thought, some people naturally have cold bodies, nothing unusual. I continued undressing her, and when I embraced her, a chill ran through me. Her entire body was ice cold. This was no different from a lifeless body. I couldn't believe it. Trembling, I checked her breath. At that moment, a flash of lightning illuminated her face. Pale, bloodless, eyes closed, lips blue. She was really gone. Terrified, I scrambled to the door, pounding on it frantically.
I can't do this! Open the door! I can't do this!
Narrator, tone, sad. After my business failed, I tried every possible solution, borrowing from almost every P2P platform, but I still couldn't fill the financial hole. Now, I was facing the risk of imprisonment. My life had just begun. I didn't want it to end like this. Narrator, tone, serious. Suddenly, the flyer caught my eye again. Why are there so many scammers in this world? If my business partner hadn't deceived me, would my venture have failed? Why don't these scammers just disappear? The crushing debt was suffocating me. But thinking about these scammers living the high life with their ill-gotten gains made my blood boil. I picked up the phone and dialed the number. The call was answered quickly.
Protagonist, tone, angry you scammer. Offering 500,000 renminbi? At least come up with something original. Damn you.
Narrator, tone, serious. The other end remained silent. I chuckled coldly, the scammer must be too guilty to speak. Just as I was about to hang up, a calm woman's voice came through.
Woman, tone, serious. Give me a bank account, and I can send you a 50,000 renminbi deposit.
Narrator, tone, stunned. I was stunned. Was this scammer still trying to trick me?
Protagonist, tone sarcastic, yeah, right? Do you want me to pay 5,000 renminbi first, and then you'll send me 50,000? Do you think I'm an idiot?
Woman, tone, unhurried. Why don't you wait and see if you receive the money first?
Narrator, tone, hesitant. Her words made me hesitate. It seemed she knew I would come to her eventually, her tone was so composed. I returned to the mansion. Looking at the woman lying quietly on the bed, I took a deep breath. If I didn't do it today, I wouldn't get the money, and the debt collectors wouldn't let me off tomorrow. I stood in the room, conflicted for a while, then finally made up my mind.
Damn it, let's just do it.
I encouraged myself and approached the woman. I was slightly bolder than the first time. Touching her cold skin, I shivered. She was so cold.
It's all for the money, for the money.
I kept muttering to myself, finally mustering the courage to get on top of her. The woman had said that not using protection would get me more money, so I went without it. As I entered, a chill spread from my feet to the top of my head. The cold made me shiver. For the money, I had no choice but to endure. There was no excitement with someone who wasn't alive, so I finished quickly, dressed, and hurried to knock on the door. After searching the entire house and finding no one else, I had no choice but to sit in the room and wait. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was someone else in the house besides me. But I had already turned the whole house upside down, there was no sign of anyone alive. Could it be the woman? The thought startled me. I stared at her, trying to see any signs, but suddenly, she opened her eyes and stared straight at me. I screamed, almost wetting myself. Rubbing my eyes and looking again, I saw her eyes were closed, as if everything before was just my imagination. What was going on? I was terrified, feeling like the night was dragging on forever. When the woman arrived the next day, I rushed to her. Her 2 bodyguards restrained me.
Give me the money. I did what you asked.
The woman ignored me, walked over to the woman on the bed, spread her legs, checked, and nodded in satisfaction. She then transferred the remaining money to me as agreed. When I received the money, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. After my business failed, I tried every possible solution, borrowing from almost every P2P platform, but I still couldn't fill the financial hole. Now, I was facing the risk of imprisonment. My life had just begun, I didn't want it to end like this. Suddenly, the flyer caught my eye again. Why are there so many scammers in this world? If my business partner hadn't deceived me, would my venture have failed? Why don't these scammers just disappear? The crushing debt was suffocating me. But thinking about these scammers living the high life with their ill-gotten gains made my blood boil. I picked up the phone and dialed the number. The call was answered quickly. You scammer. Offering 500,000 renminbi? At least come up with something original. Damn you. I vented my anger and frustration into the phone. The other end remained silent. I chuckled coldly, the scammer must be too guilty to speak. Just as I was about to hang up, a calm woman's voice came through.
Give me a bank account, and I can send you a 50,000 renminbi deposit.
I was stunned. Was this scammer still trying to trick me? Yeah, right. Do you want me to pay 5,000 renminbi first, and then you'll send me 50,000? Do you think I'm an idiot?
Why don't you wait and see if you receive the money first?
Her words made me hesitate. My business had failed miserably, and I was drowning in debt after borrowing from every P2P platform available. The threat of imprisonment loomed over me. My life was just beginning. I couldn't let it end like this. Suddenly, a flyer caught my eye again. Why are there so many scammers in this world? If my business partner hadn't deceived me, would my venture have failed? The crushing debt was suffocating me. But thinking about these scammers living the high life with their ill-gotten gains made my blood boil. I picked up the phone and dialed the number. The call was answered quickly.
You scammer! Offering 500,000 renminbi? At least come up with something original. Damn you!
The other end remained silent. I chuckled coldly, thinking the scammer must be too guilty to speak. Just as I was about to hang up, a calm woman's voice came through.
Give me a bank account, and I can send you a 50,000 renminbi deposit.
I was stunned. Was this scammer still trying to trick me?
Yeah, right. Do you want me to pay 5,000 renminbi first, and then you'll send me 50,000? Do you think I'm an idiot?
Why don't you wait and see if you receive the money first?
Her words made me hesitate. Robert Thompson looked at me sternly as I tearfully recounted everything that had happened. I believed he would clear my name.
Officer, please, you have to give me justice. I did something foolish for money, but I didn't harm anyone.
After taking my statement, Robert Thompson and his team seemed skeptical.
For $50,000, you were tricked by a fake ad into spending a night with a deceased woman? It sounds absurd.
Robert Thompson told me that the situation looked bad for me because my fingerprints and DNA were all over the deceased woman. I was utterly panicked.
When I was with her, she was already deceased. It was that woman who brought me there, saying I could earn $50,000 for just one time, and if there was a pregnancy, the reward would double.
I held my head and burst into tears. After learning this clue, Robert Thompson hurried off to verify it. He returned shortly, looking grim.
The number is inactive, and it was never registered, so we can't confirm if this person exists.
Impossible.
I was shocked. A wave of dizziness hit me, and I almost collapsed.
Officer, I swear I didn't harm anyone. I'm innocent. I don't know how it turned out like this. Please help me, I don't want to die.
Calm down, there are still many questions to be answered. I'll investigate thoroughly. Start from the beginning and tell me everything.
Robert Thompson seemed reliable, and I clung to him like a drowning man grasping at a lifeline.
A few days ago, I saw a flyer offering a large sum for surrogacy. It said I could earn $50,000 for just one time. At first, I didn't believe it, but she transferred $5,000 as a deposit, so I went to check it out, only to find a deceased woman. I refused immediately.
But when I got home, loan sharks came to threaten me. They said if I didn't repay, they'd break my hand and kill me. I had no choice but to agree. I swear the girl was already dead when I got there. I didn't harm anyone.
I was desperate at the time, so I.
My heart ached with guilt. I cursed myself for being such a fool.
I just wanted to pay off my debts. As soon as I got the money, I paid the loan sharks. How could I have harmed anyone?
Robert Thompson listened thoughtfully.
If what you're saying is true, there are indeed many things to investigate, like how the loan sharks showed up right after you refused.
His words were a revelation.
Yes, it was too coincidental.
I had just refused them and returned home when the loan sharks arrived. When I called that woman, she seemed to have expected it, speaking calmly.
It was all a setup. They were framing me.
After my business failed, I tried every possible solution, borrowing from almost every P2P platform, but I still couldn't fill the financial hole. Now, I faced the risk of imprisonment. My life had just begun. I didn't want it to end like this. Suddenly, the flyer caught my eye again. Why are there so many scammers in this world? If my business partner hadn't deceived me, would my venture have failed? Why don't these scammers just disappear? The crushing debt was suffocating me. But thinking about these scammers living the high life with their ill-gotten gains made my blood boil. I picked up the phone and dialed the number. The call was answered quickly.
You scammer! Offering 500,000 renminbi? At least come up with something original. Damn you!
The other end remained silent. I chuckled coldly. The scammer must be too guilty to speak. Just as I was about to hang up, a calm woman's voice came through.
Give me a bank account, and I can send you a 50,000 renminbi deposit.
Yeah, right. Do you want me to pay 5,000 renminbi first, and then you'll send me 50,000? Do you think I'm an idiot?
Why don't you wait and see if you receive the money first?
Her words made me hesitate. Why would she frame me when we have no grudges? I'm just a small fry. Why are these big shots targeting me? At that moment, a young police officer ran in to inform Robert Thompson that the case had been handed over to the city bureau. Robert Thompson was a bit upset.
We've almost solved this case. Why transfer it now?
The young officer, seeing his mentor's anger, was at a loss, scratching his head anxiously. Robert Thompson knew it must be an order from above. He glanced at me, and I panicked.
Officer, you know I'm innocent. That woman framed me on purpose. I didn't hurt anyone.
I was afraid he would abandon me, so I was extremely emotional. At this critical moment, the case was suddenly transferred to the city bureau. It must be the wealthy couple pulling strings. They wanted to make me the scapegoat, but I wasn't willing. Even though I made some money, I couldn't understand why they were so determined to ruin me. If the case was transferred to the city bureau, who knows what they would do to me? Robert Thompson seemed reliable, and I knew how much effort he had put into this case. I hoped he could save me.
Calm down. I will get to the bottom of this and not let anyone obstruct justice.
Despite his words, I was still terrified. Not long after, I was taken to the city bureau. While there, people kept interrogating me. I lost count of how many times I said I didn't hurt anyone. My mental state was on the verge of collapse. I didn't know how much longer I could hold on. My fate seemed bleak. These people wanted to destroy me. Just when I thought all hope was lost, Robert Thompson finally arrived with good news.
We've cleared your name and successfully brought down the wealthy couple.
I still couldn't understand their motive. Why were they so determined to ruin me when we were strangers?
The female victim was the wealthy man's lover. When his wife, Isabella Taylor, found out, the lover was already expecting a child. She demanded the girl end the pregnancy, leading to a confrontation during which the girl was accidentally pushed to her death. Since both the wealthy man and his wife, Isabella Taylor, were prominent figures, they couldn't afford any scandal. They decided to frame an innocent person to take the fall. You had fallen into their trap because of your desperation.
Reflecting on everything that had happened, my feelings were incredibly complex. If it weren't for Robert Thompson's persistence, I would have spent the rest of my life in prison. Indeed, there's no such thing as a free lunch. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. A breeze blew by, and I heard a faint thank you. In a daze, I seemed to see the female victim smiling at me. With the case solved, her grievance could finally be avenged. From now on, I will live honestly. I believe that even if I lose money, I can earn it back with determination. I can rise again.